Imagine a child's bedroom, soft lights, colorful posters, a neatly arranged shelf filled with toys. Everything looks harmless, peaceful, safe. But what if I told you that within this room, behind those plastic eyes, something could be watching, waiting, whispering your name when the lights go out? Tonight, we explore one of the most disturbing and unforgettable horror icons of all time, Chucky, the killer doll. Chucky isn't just a character from a movie. He represents a deeper, universal fear, the idea that something meant to protect children could instead turn against them. Dolls are supposed to be symbols of innocence, but their stillness, their empty eyes, and their lifelike faces have always unsettled people. And in 1988, this fear evolved into a cinematic nightmare. In this video, we'll uncover how Chucky was created, the real-life inspirations behind him, the psychological impact he had on audiences, the controversies that followed, and how he transformed into a pop culture legend that refuses to die. But before we dive into Hollywood, let's take a moment to understand the root of the fear. Toys are trusted companions, keepers of childhood memories. They're present for bedtime stories, playtime adventures, and moments of comfort. They're never supposed to move on their own, never supposed to talk back, never supposed to kill. So why does Chucky strike such a deep chord? Why has he stayed with us for decades? Stay with me, because the truth behind the smile of this little doll is far darker than you imagine. Long before Chucky became a horror icon, writer Don Mancini had been fascinated by the unsettling relationship between children and their toys. During the 1980s, America was experiencing a toy craze unlike anything seen before. Cabbage Patch Kids and similar dolls triggered massive shopping chaos. Parents fighting in aisles, stampedes in malls, and news headlines about toy shortages. Mancini saw something disturbing in this, the commercialization of childhood and how easily innocence could be manipulated. But Chucky needed something more than a cultural backdrop. He needed a soul, a dangerous, twisted personality. That's when Mancini blended the names of three notorious real-world criminals to create Charles Lee Ray, Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. This wasn't accidental. It was a symbolic representation of pure evil wrapped inside a child's toy. The possession plot came from the fascination with Haitian voodoo, specifically the idea that a soul could be transferred into an object. Hollywood exaggerated these rituals, of course, but the core concept, a murderer refusing to die, was powerful enough to fuel nightmares. Chucky's appearance also had a purpose. With bright red hair, big blue eyes, and a striped sweater, he looked friendly, safe, almost cute. That contrast between appearance and intention is what made the character unforgettable. Evil hiding behind innocence, violence concealed within a smile. This combination of cultural fear, real criminal influence, and supernatural legend formed the perfect storm. And what emerged from it was the world's most terrifying toy. Many fans don't know this, but Chucky's roots stretch beyond movies and into one of America's oldest and most mysterious haunted legends, Robert the Doll. Long before Chucky existed, Robert sat inside a house in Key West, Florida, terrifying locals for nearly a century. Robert belonged to a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto. According to the story, the doll began moving on its own. Neighbors claimed they saw it in different windows throughout the day. Family members heard footsteps in the middle of the night. Eugene's parents insisted they heard their son talking to Robert, and Robert answering back in a completely different voice. Objects went missing. Guests reported feeling watched. Some claimed the doll's expression changed depending on who entered the room. These incidents eventually turned Robert the Doll into a legend. Even today, Tourists who visit the museum where Robert is kept report strange experiences, camera malfunctions, and sudden chills. Don Mancini never explicitly confirmed that Robert inspired Chucky, but the similarities are undeniable. A doll with a soul, a toy that moves when no one is watching, a harmless object transformed into something terrifying. The myth of Robert proves something important. Long before Hollywood brought killer dolls to the big screen, people already feared them. Chucky simply took that fear and amplified it. He gave the fear a voice, a personality, and a thirst for blood. And audiences around the world realized something they always suspected. Maybe toys shouldn't be trusted. In 1988, Child's Play premiered, and audiences were not prepared for what they were about to witness. The idea of a killer doll had existed in folklore, but never had it been portrayed with such shocking realism. This wasn't a man in a suit or a cartoonish puppet. Chucky moved, blinked, breathed, and talked with terrifying authenticity. The film follows Andy Barkley, a young boy who receives a good guy doll for his birthday. But, unbeknownst to him, the soul of Charles Lee Ray has taken over the doll's body. The tension doesn't come from loud jump scares or gore, but from subtlety. The idea that a child knows the truth while adults dismiss him. It plays on the universal fear of not being believed. Special effects artist Kevin Yeager created the animatronic Chucky, and his team used multiple puppeteers to coordinate Chucky's facial expressions, movements, and gestures. Every eye twitch and smirk required intense coordination, making the doll feel disturbingly alive. When Chucky finally reveals his true nature for the first time, audiences screamed. His sudden shift from a friendly toy voice to a violent, angry killer shocked viewers. Critics praised the film for its creativity, tension, and originality. Child's Play didn't just entertain, it traumatized people. Parents protested the movie. Some toy stores refused to stock dolls that resembled good guys. The line between fiction and reality blurred. Hollywood had created a monster unlike anything seen before. While the animatronics made Chucky move, it was Brad Dourif who made him alive. His voice transformed Chucky from an ordinary villain into an unforgettable cinematic icon. Dourif didn't simply read lines, he performed them with a raw, manic intensity that became the heart of the character. His screams, laughter, and rage were so powerful that the audio team often had to adjust the microphones to avoid distortion. Dourif captured something uniquely disturbing: the contrast between Chucky's small plastic body and the violent adult soul trapped inside it. What made his performance special was the emotional depth. Chucky wasn't just a killer. He was charismatic, sarcastic, and strangely likable. He taunted his victims, joked during murders, and expressed frustration at being trapped in a doll. This blend of humor and horror shaped Chucky's identity across all sequels. Even more impressive, Dourif returned again and again to voice Chucky for over 30 years, giving him a consistent personality unmatched by most horror icons. Whether Chucky was brutal, comedic, or emotional, Dourif adapted seamlessly. Without Brad Dourif, Chucky simply wouldn't exist as we know him. He didn't just give the doll a voice, he gave him a soul. With Chucky's rise to fame came something the filmmakers never expected: real-life fear, anger, and controversy. Parents across the world protested the movie, claiming it was too violent and too easily accessible to children. Schools banned good guy dolls, worried that kids were becoming obsessed with the character. Things escalated further when media outlets began blaming violent crimes on the influence of Chucky movies. The most infamous case occurred in the UK, when tabloids falsely linked the murder of 2-year-old James Bulger to Child's Play 3. Although the claims were disproven, the damage was done. The movie suddenly became a symbol of moral panic. Lawmakers and activists demanded the films be banned. Some called for restrictions on horror movies altogether. Chucky's image became associated with danger, rebellion, and psychological harm. But ironically, this controversy only made him more popular. Teenagers who weren't allowed to watch the movies became even more curious. Horror fans defended the franchise, arguing that fiction cannot be blamed for real violence. Chucky crossed a cultural line few horror characters ever dared to cross. He became too real for some people to handle. This era cemented Chucky not just as a movie villain, but as a cultural phenomenon, one that could spark fear even outside the cinema. The Chucky franchise is unique because it didn't stay the same. It evolved radically over time. Each movie introduced new layers to the character, keeping him fresh for new generations. Child's Play 2 amplified the kills, focusing on Chucky's growing desperation to possess Andy. Child's Play 3 took a darker, more militaristic approach, placing Chucky in an environment where children were trained for combat. But the true shift came with Bride of Chucky in 1998. The tone changed dramatically, introducing humor, self-awareness, and the iconic Tiffany, voiced by Jennifer Tilly. Their dysfunctional, murderous relationship became horror legend. Seed of Chucky pushed boundaries even further with a wild, meta, and bizarre storyline that split fans but solidified Chucky's cult status. In the 2010s, the series returned to pure horror with Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, proving that the franchise still had terrifying potential. Finally, the Chucky TV series brought the killer doll into the modern era, exploring teenage characters, deeper psychological themes, and LGBTQ+ storylines, all while maintaining the signature Chucky tone fans love. Very few horror icons survive multiple decades. Even fewer remain relevant. Chucky did both. What makes Chucky so unforgettable? Why did this 2-foot-tall doll outlast so many other horror legends? The answer lies in what he represents. Chucky embodies the fear that something small, harmless, and familiar could suddenly become deadly. Unlike giant monsters or supernatural demons, Chucky feels possible. You don't need a haunted house or a cursed forest, just a simple toy. His unpredictability keeps audiences on edge. He can be funny one moment and brutally violent the next. His size makes him both insignificant and terrifying. He can hide anywhere, strike at any time, and disappear into the shadows before anyone notices. Chucky also reflects a timeless horror theme. Evil can hide behind innocence. A doll isn't supposed to think. It isn't supposed to speak. And it definitely isn't supposed to kill. But Chucky does all three, and he does them with a personality that is larger than life. His legacy spans generations because he adapts. Whether audiences want pure terror, dark comedy, or psychological storytelling, Chucky evolves to fit the time. And maybe that's why he continues to haunt us. Because deep down, we all know that something small, something quiet, something sitting on a shelf in the dark might not be as innocent as it seems.